Ooh. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night, depending where you are joining us in the world today. And welcome to another DC live stream coming straight to you from Sydney and Queensland, Australia. I'm Wasim, one of your hosts, and I have with me our amazing co-host Matthew, who's driving home still today. So he's joining
Matthew,
us.
Matthew working from anywhere but here.
That's it. Matthew working from anywhere but Terry. So yeah, that's one of the great things that we love about having an online business is that we can still continue to have our life and still run the business from wherever we want. So Matthew, how are you, my friend?
Man, I'm very well, very well. Bitcoin is, I believe, having a bit of a fake out, getting some people FOMOing in. But I still think that low prices are to come now because, the currency market isn't looking very good, and we're going to talk about one of the tweets that was tweeted out in the last 24 hours about the currency markets because every currency is collapsing right now except for the US dollar. But that does not mean that the US economy is doing very well. So, because they are technically the reserve currency, their dollar always pumps, but it doesn't mean that their GDP and everything else is going well. So, we'll cover all that in today's live stream, I'm sure.
Yeah, man. Yeah, definitely interesting times ahead. We've been speaking about this almost on a weekly basis now. I'm actually looking forward to when the bull market comes back so we can jump on here and be excited. But unfortunately, right now, most of the global economic news um, is not very inspiring to say the least. There is a lot of pain out there, and more pain will be coming. So we'll go through all of that today. And yeah, I'll get stuck into the news highlights before pass it over back to Maddie. Thanks,
Thank you.
Maddie.
See you soon.
All right. Okay, so I'm doing the controls today, guys. So please bear with me. Usually Matt does these, so hopefully I get it right. Okay, so first up, we have California governor rejects regulatory bill passed by Assembly lawmakers. So on August 30th, California State Assembly passed a bill on digital asset law, and in this bill, they wanted to force companies to get licenses to be able to protect the consumers and also licenses for all types of different cryptocurrency services. However, Gavin Newsom returned the bill without approving it, saying that it's probably premature and costly. Now, what he went on to say was that because Biden is, or the U.S. government, the federal government in the U.S. is looking to cryptocurrency regulation, he didn't want to jump the gun and put in cryptocurrency that's not going to be, compliant or in line with the national government, and they also want to keep California, being open and equitable and leaving it open for people to be able to jump into crypto. So this is good news when you see people trying to push for harsh crypto regulation, and then you see someone pushing back saying, no, 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 this is the future, and we need to make sure that we're doing the right thing. All right, next one up. Just gonna move my mic here because I've had a few people complain that my voice is going up. Let me know if my voice is getting better, guys. I've played around with the settings, so let me know how that goes. Next up, we've got new bank logs more than $1.8 million crypto users in Brazil. Now, if you don't know who New Bank is, we have. That's not very good. You can't see my face. If you don't know who New Bank is, then we have been speaking about it quite a bit. Warren Buffett has invested in New Bank. It's a digital bank, so it's an online bank only. They don't have any they don't have any shop fronts, and they're probably one of the larger banks in Latin America. Warren Buffett, who calls Bitcoin rat poison, has invested in this. And Nubank, what they are doing is they are bringing in cryptocurrency to their members. So they've been talking about bringing this over to their members for a while. And what they said is just in Brazil alone, they've been able to get 1.8 users to interact and buy and sell cryptocurrencies. Overall, Nubank has now over 70 million customers around Latin America, 66.4 million of those are from Brazil, 3.2 million are from Mexico, and then this says 400 million from Colombia. I got a feeling that's a mistake. It's probably more like 400,000 or maybe 4 million because it doesn't add up. But it just shows that Nubank is growing quite rapidly. They're the fifth largest in Brazil right now, and they're all starting to offer crypto services. Brazil has been one of those countries that, crypto adoption is growing so fast there, and there's so many ways for people in Brazil to get involved in crypto and buy and sell crypto. And these numbers were double what they expected. They were expecting about 1 million users to interact with crypto. They were able to hit 1.8 million users, which just shows what we've been saying all the time. The adoption and the movement of crypto is coming so fast and so quick that if you don't get involved now, you're going to wake up one day and say, what the hell happened? Next up, we have mining GPU prices in China plummet post Ethereum merger. So we've spoken a little bit about this. That Ethereum merge, I think it was like last week or something, that the Ethereum merge into the Beacon chain happened, and then we've moved from proof of work to proof of stake. Now, obviously, this is going to reduce the demand for GPU units, which are used for proof of work. And what they found in China, prices have gone down from 8,000 yuan, which is about $1,118, down to 5,000 yuan per GPU, because less people are mining Ethereum, and therefore there's less demand for it, and therefore that will reduce the prices for what's happening for the GPU. Now, since we've had the merge, obviously, if you don't know what the merge is, it's basically Ethereum moving from proof of work, which means the computer has to approve their transaction, to proof of stake, which means people stake their Ethereum, and that then approves transaction and creates blocks. So by moving towards proof of stake, it's supposed to be less energy energy hungry, and therefore reducing emissions and making the blockchain a little bit faster. It doesn't do much for decentralization though, because it does mean that those that have more Ethereum will have more control. Next up, we have Australia pushes ahead with central bank digital currency, announced pilot timeline. So a couple of months ago, I reported on this also, saying that Australia was looking at creating a digital currency, and they've got a project in which they were inviting companies, I should say, to come in and get involved. The companies will deposit dollars for EAUD, which is what they're calling it, and then they'll be able to use the EAUD to transact during the pilot stage, and then at the end they'll be able to get their money back by giving back the stablecoin, or the CBDC. Now, this does not mean that Australia is going to actually have a electronic currency. It may mean so. They have released their white paper now, looking at explaining how it's going to work, and what it and how customers are going to use it and companies are going to use it. So this is something that is putting Australia a little bit ahead of other countries. I know America hasn't really started with their CBDC. China has started with their CBDC, and they're pushing it really, really hard, with certain provinces already starting to use the digital yuan. Now, if you don't know the difference between CBDCs and Bitcoin, the biggest difference is that Bitcoin is a decentralized network, meaning not one single entity can control it, and not one single entity has power over it to change the code and manipulate it. It has to be done by consensus, and the consensus has to come from the users. Now, CBDC, on the other hand, is controlled by a central organization. That's why it's called a central bank digital currency, and the central bank can code anything they want in there. And if you know anything about what we've spoken about this in the past, having these type of currencies and people using it is going to reduce their own privacy, because the government can see everything that you're doing. Every time you spend money, every time you walk to a shop and you buy something, that is all recorded that you were there. And the last one for the news highlights is that institutional investors are short selling Bitcoin at the highest rate on record, which goes on to what Maddie was saying, that Bitcoin is having a bit of a challenging time at the moment with the latest crash that it's had. We are in the middle of a bear market, guys, so it's expected, and we do expect it to go sideways for a while. But now what they're finding is a lot of the institutional investors are actually shorting Bitcoin for profit. And this has been happening across the board, including for Ethereum, Cardano, and as well as other asset classes. That's it from me, guys. I'm going to bring Matt over and go into the Twitter highlights.
Thank you, Wasim. Alrighty, we're on the first. Oh, you're on the document, my friend Wasim. You're not on the Twitter highlights.
I know. I have to open them up.
Forgot to bring it up. That's all right.
It's not that. It's not that I forgot to bring it up. My computer crashed literally 5 minutes before we're about to get online. So I'll do that right now.
Well, guys, the first tweet is from Michael Saylor, and he basically just shows the collapse of most currencies against the US dollar. Now, you can see that he's got them all written there. And basically, over the past 4 years, the dollar's collapsed 67% against Bitcoin. So Bitcoin is just the beginning, obviously, of Web 3.0 technologies, and this is the reason to have Bitcoin, because it's going to be a store of value against these deflationary currencies. But why I see the last sort of few months as being is because I trade in USD. I haven't technically lost that much of my Australian dollar value against Bitcoin, because right now the Australian dollar has plummeted about 15 cents since the start of the year, from 80 cents to 65 cents. So that's close to 20-25%. And even though Bitcoin has dropped, if I was to sell some of my Bitcoin into USD and then transfer back to AUD, it's not as bad as if I was just obviously trading in AUD against Bitcoin. So that's one of the great things about sometimes having and being invested in the crypto market. I tend to always look at the USD prices, and right now, because the Australian dollar, is tanking, my realized losses, if I do cash out, aren't as bad. All right, moving on to the next tweet by Peter Schiff. He says, "It's our currency, but it's your problem. Was made famous in 1971 by John Connolly, Richard Nixon's Treasury Secretary. But back then, the problem was a weak dollar. The strong dollar is now an even bigger problem, because if you push inflation outside the US much higher." So, yeah. So basically, a strong US dollar means that the currency is trading at a historical high level, but this doesn't mean that the US dollar is, not strong in itself, because the thing is, the US economy is tied to that US dollar. People are holding US dollars as their, purchasing power, but the flow of money through the governments and taxes and so forth, it's actually weakened it. And it's weakened because the GDP ratio, which we're going to sort of talk about in a following tweet in about 2 tweets time. In the next tweet. So let's head over to the next tweet. So the next tweet is by the Financial Summit. So a new study by the Credit Suisse estimates that there were 62.5 millionaires in 2021, and that number should rise to 87 millionaires in that same term in 2024. So there's only 21 million Bitcoins, and it's incredible to see that the number of whole coiners and people that are holding at least 0.1 BTC is continuously increasing. People are starting to see that Bitcoin is a store of value, is a hedge against inflation, and people are not worried of the current economic crisis. They're still increasing their bags because they know the potential. If you zoom out, we can see the Bitcoin's obviously going up and to the right. Last week is the one that I was.
You're cutting out there, Maddie.
This next tweet by Eric Vorez. It says Bitcoin is not backed by anything, nor is Ethereum, nor is gold, nor is coal, nor is oil, nor is mathematics, nor is rice or the internet itself. These things, whether commodity, discipline, or technology, are useful tools for mankind. They require no backing. So the tweet speaks for itself. Is basically saying that, you know, we don't really need Bitcoin to be backed by anything. It's its own what's the word I'm looking for? It holds its own value, and it's, you know, one Bitcoin will always be one Bitcoin no matter what the price is, and you don't need to worry too much about how it is sort of trading against the stock market and so forth, because in the future, once the market cap of cryptocurrencies does get to, you know, $10 trillion, which is what the gold market cap is, a lot of people do believe that we are going to remove the correlation between cryptocurrencies and the stock markets. Alrighty, the last tweet. This is the tweet that I wanted to talk to you guys about. So specifically, the combo of positive real estate and no central bank buying of government debt is hard to maintain indefinitely and at these debt and deficit levels. I've not seen good descriptions for how they will achieve that. This isn't the 1990s anymore. So the US total debt / GDP ratio is very high, and the debt to GDP ratio is the metric comparing a country's public debt to its gross domestic product. By comparing what a country owes with that of what it produces, the debt to GDP ratio reliably indicates that particular country's ability to pay back its debt. Now, obviously, this is in relation to obviously the currencies that we were talking about. The US currency is obviously increasing, but this is still showing that the US economy is quite weak, and their GDP, I think we pointed this out on a DC live stream many weeks ago. We showed a video of Putin where he talks about how the US had increased its imports by about 40%. So they increased their cost by about 40%, which was the exact number of US dollars that they produced over the last 2 years since COVID crash, which was about 40%. So this has weakened obviously their GDP and also all the things surrounding their economy. And that's why right now the entire economy worldwide is not looking good. Most currencies are collapsing. We saw the British pound. I think I pointed that out yesterday on the Bitcoin TA YouTube stream. So if you haven't checked that out, jump onto our YouTube channel, Decrypting Crypto. Look at yesterday's video where I basically look at a couple of currencies and how they are currently collapsing against the US dollar. Even though it's cheap for US citizens to now go traveling, it's very difficult for everyone else to go to the US because their dollar is tanking against the US dollar. But this doesn't mean that the US economy is strong. So don't think that just because the dollar is weakening, that your own currency is weakening. Basically, it's just showing that the US economy is just printing its way out of this recession. But not only that, because it is the reserve currency, all currencies are going to be doing bad against the US dollar. So don't think that the US are doing anything better than the rest of us. Alrighty, that is it from the Twitter highlights.
Yeah, look, I totally agree with you, Maddie, and I think a lot of people don't really understand the meaning of what these two tweets actually mean. Basically, as you've been saying, for those of you that aren't reading between the lines, what America's doing right now is just exporting the inflation to the rest of the world. The more they export it, the more that the rest of the world is going to suffer, and sooner or later, countries are going to start looking for other ways in which they can secure their wealth. So a strong US dollar doesn't always mean it's for the world. It's actually quite a scary time for a lot of countries out there.
Yeah,
thank you very much.
A lot of news.
Oh, yeah, go on.
Go. Sorry, that's why you're hearing a lot of people say, the Chinese yuan could be the next currency to overtake the US currency as the main currency that we sort of deal in. But this is why Bitcoin was created. We need like a intermediary that is not able to be inflated, and Bitcoin is exactly that, because there are only 21 million Bitcoin. obviously a lot of people are hoping that Bitcoin is the standard in the future where we are measuring, not only our own currencies, but also our import and export goods.
Yeah, and I think one of the great things about Bitcoin is that it is the most decentralized cryptocurrency out there. Yeah, what that actually means, like as I've said, we say it over and over again, nobody owns Bitcoin. Bitcoin is owned by the network and no one can control it. Now, if we have a world reserve currency that cannot be controlled, cannot be inflated, cannot have these monetary policies applied to it that are now in the fiat currencies, we can potentially have a much more stable economic environment around the world. And I think that's the big picture that people really need to understand of why cryptocurrency is so important for our future. All right, let's get into the. Oh, and I forgot to change the Twitter highlights. Let's get into the adoption highlights. Now, look, this is one of my favorite segments of the show, and I said this before, and I'll say it again. Is because it shows us exactly how much adoption is actually happening around the world when it comes to cryptocurrency. So, MasterCard has partnered with a crypto and a fiat exchange to bring NFT avatars to debit cards. This is not available in America right now, but it's available in about 25 countries in Europe. And basically, the high exchange and high token is going to allow people to order a card, a crypto debit card, similar to the ones that I keep showing you guys that we have here. Um, and people can use their crypto to buy things, right? Now, what this is saying, what they're doing here is something very innovative. It's allowing NFT holders to be able to customize their cards to have their NFTs on their cards. And this will be a way for them to kind of show off their status and make it more fun for people to use these digital debit cards using their own currency. So there's going to be 6 versions. You're going to be able to have things like Bored Ape, Cyberpunks, and a few others on there to be Goblins, CryptoPunks, and Azukas. All will be available for people to put onto these MasterCards when they order them. Next up, now this is not so much a crypto adoption, but it is showing how more and more companies are starting to understand and adopt and accept the idea that they need to go into the metaverse. We've spoken about the metaverse, we've spoken about lanes, we've spoken about how many companies are out there putting patents in for the metaverse, putting patents in for their NFTs and whatnot, because they started to understand that more and more people are going to be interacting on the metaverse. If you haven't been in the metaverse, just get onto a VR and you can get onto the metaverse and see what they're doing. But basically, Walmart has launched an online game in the world of Roblox. Now, Roblox is a very popular game. It's got some like 52 million users, and they have a lot of different games on there, 3D games and whatnot. But the great thing about it, most of those games are actually created by the users. Now, what Walmart has done is they've launched 2 worlds onto Roblox, where where people can go in, interact with them, go to events and whatnot. And Walmart has basically said that this is part of their rollout and investigation to go into the metaverse and Web3 and cryptocurrencies in the future. Next one up is Algorand rallies 27% as FIFA launches its NFT marketplace. So Algorand is one of those great blockchains that we've spoken about and we're bullish on. And we've spoken about FIFA signing an agreement with Algorand to be able to launch their NFT collection. So there was a launch of about 532,980 editions that will allow collectors to own and trade these NFTs. Think about this similar to, back when, well, they're not back in the day, they're still available today. You know how you've got basketball cards and baseball cards and footy cards, and people used to collect them and put them. This is a similar type of thing. So people are going to be able to get NFTs, trade them, and collect them, and they're all going to be FIFA branded NFTs. So now, when this happened, obviously when it came in, more and more people start to see the use cases of Algorand, and therefore people start to buy more Algorand, and that pushed the price up by 27%. Also, Algorand is the official partner of FIFA World Cup for 2022. So that's another reason why Algorand is doing so well. Next up, we have Monkey League has become AC Milan's newest new NFT gaming partner. So Monkey League is is an NFT project, and they've created a partnership with AC Milan, which is Italy's largest and richest football club. And what AC Milan has come out and said is, we know that the future of this the sports is going to include crypto, metaverse, NFTs, and whatnot. So they're all getting in on it early. As you can see, almost week in, week out, we are talking about new gaming or new sporting organizations and sporting clubs creating their own NFTs. As we saw in the previous one, FIFA was one of them. And last but not least in the adoption highlight is that Apple is now allowing NFT sales on its App Store, but there's a catch. So basically, Apple is now allowing apps that allow you to store NFTs, trade NFTs, buy and sell NFTs. However, as in true Apple form, they will take a tax or a cut on any sales that happen in apps. Up to 30% if the company is making $1 million or more a year, and 15% if they're making less than $1 million. But this just shows that more and more companies like Samsung is also looking at it. Apple. A lot of the Android phones are looking at ways which they can adopt crypto and crypto services into their app. And that's it from the adoption highlight today. I'm going to bring Maddie back on. Oh, it looks like he's back home.
I am.
Maddie.
Just in time for the wrap up.
That's it. Where are we up to? All right. So what do we have today for the wrap up, Maddie?
Well, mate, I think we should let everyone know about the webinar that we have tomorrow evening and also Thursday morning, the 5 Megatrends.
Yep.
If you have not been to one of our webinars, it's a great way to get educated on the space, especially because we have a new webinar, the 5 Megatrends to catch before the next bull market. These are 5 areas of cryptocurrency that we are investing in as a business. And if you want to know which companies we're looking at investing in, I think you should come along. It's free to join. It's about an hour long webinar. You might be like, oh, it's really long, but hey, if you want to be educated and knowledgeable in the space and you want to make profits, it's definitely not something that you want to be missing.
Yeah, and it's not just the 5. It's not just the 5 cryptocurrencies that we're actually investing in. It's the 5, I suppose, categories in crypto that we believe are going to shape the way of the future. So, as you guys, if you've been following crypto for a little while, you'd know that these trends that come and go. Like we had the DeFi trend, we had the gaming trends. During the last bull market, we had the DeFi summer. NFTs, all of these things, although they may seem like trends, understanding what their future is and understanding the use cases they have will give you a good understanding of why you want to be involved in these categories. So we've done quite a lot of research into the 5 trends that we believe are going to shape the future of crypto, and we're going to be sharing that with you guys. So go to www.breakoutnow.co/1k a day. That's probably the easiest one to use to get there. Register tomorrow 6 p.m. or Thursday 10 a.m. We'd like to see you guys there because the information we're going to be sharing, if you get in now, can actually change your life in the future dramatically for the future. That's it for me.
Said.
You have anything else
to
add,
guys,
Matt?
I'll see everyone tomorrow for the altcoin TA live stream, and if not, I will see you Friday for the next DC live stream.
Same here. See you guys Thursday for my live stream, and then we'll see you on Friday night for the DC live stream. Have a great week, guys, and we'll chat with you guys soon.
See you later. Bye.
All right.